the big tool that we have in our toolkit that a traditional product manager doesn't utilize is a behavioral diagnosis. And so behavioral diagnosis is a step-by-step outline of all of the things that a user would have to do in order to get to the behavior that your company is aligned on. So it's a prioritized review of this, and we layer on all of the data and the biases that a customer would have going through each of these steps. We're going to be practicing this behavioral diagnosis today, but I think this would be, if you were to think about teaching anyone in your company another toolkit, this would probably be the toolkit you would take back and say, we have a new feature we want to develop. Let's do a behavioral diagnosis. We have a problem of conversion. Let's do a behavioral diagnosis. We have an organizational issue with employees. Let's do a behavioral diagnosis. And it doesn't mean that this is the only thing you do, but for us, this is where we start. Okay, so what goes into the behavioral diagnosis? Data on user behavior. So like this is what people are actually doing. So before we start working with a company, we give them a data sheet and say, please tell us all the things you know about how a user actually behaves. Insights on behavioral biases. And this can come from a literature review of the actual topic. So if we're working on financial well-being, loan repayment, we would look at all of the studies on the behavioral studies on how do you get someone to repay their loan. We would also layer that with the behavioral biases that we know exist for this type of decision. And then also the business and customer goals. As Dina mentioned, this is, you're not purely solving a customer goal, you're also solving a business goal. And so you have to prioritize that is to narrow down on where you focus with the diagnosis.